So today we have a virtual company showroom with Evooq. It's a Swiss company which was founded in 2011. And this company helps banks and wealth managers deliver personalized investments at scale. So the company employs 150 people across Europe and Asia. And what unites them is what they say, simple. They like solving hard problems properly. So the ones that the other people avoid or overcomplicate. And they like making them feel easy to use with the solutions. So we're really happy to welcome CTO of Evooq, Martin Soubeyran, who's joining us from Asia. And it's not too bad a time. Well, it's not the middle of the night, so you know everything's fine there. And then we have CERN alumnus Jason Rodis, who is the technical program manager. So I suggest I think Martin, if you take it away, please.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you for everyone for being here. So maybe a short introduction about myself before we start. So my name is Martin. My background is software engineering. Before joining this company, I worked for a few companies, very different kinds. Super small software vendor, consulting company, Swiss Quote, Nespresso. And then when there was something still picking my mind, was about working in a startup. So I joined this company more than 10 years ago at the very beginning. I think I was employee number 5, if I'm not mistaken. And since then, it has been quite a journey. So today I will present to you maybe where we are today, and then happy to take your questions. So we are Evooq. We are a technology company based in Switzerland, Singapore, where I am actually today, and Dubai. In a nutshell, what we build products for wealth management. And so tools that let banks and wealth managers deliver personal investments to thousands of clients. So not just a few, like really at scale. So the idea for us is personalization at scale. So why it matters, right? In wealth management, every client is different. They have their own goals, they have their risk appetite, they have their own situation, family situation, tax situation, you name it. They have their own values. So in a nutshell, they are all unique. But the systems used to serve them, they weren't built to reflect that diversity. So currently, what happens for legacy tools, wealth managers, they spend hours every day building proposals, running compliance checks, and preparing reports. And most of it in the most famous tool for enterprise, Excel. So the result is very familiar to any big and complex organization, processes that take days instead of minutes, and a user experience that is far from being great. So what we do at Evooq, well, we try to fix that. So quite a challenge. We make personalization not a luxury, but the standard. So our principle from day one was quite simple: fix the hard parts properly. It sounds simple. So we get to the root cause, we understand the real complexity, and eventually we solve it the right way. So today, that's what our solutions do. It brings together everything that makes investment management complicated. So let's say portfolios, products, compliance, risk, so that our clients, banks and wealth managers, they can deliver personalized and compliance advice easily and at scale. So we serve, among these clients, as I said, we serve a wide range of clients, from boutique family offices that you have many around the corner in Geneva, to some of the world's largest private banks, like JP Morgan. The impact, it's a workflow that becomes much simpler, and people spending time with their clients instead of wasting it with admin staff. So that's really the point of our mission. So we don't automate for speed alone, but we automate to improve quality of investment advice and decision-making eventually. So long story short, we help wealth managers deliver better outcomes to their clients by removing the friction that holds them back. or slows them down. So how we do it? We have 3 main products, each one focused on a critical part of the process, the investment process. We have a wealth platform that is a digital workspace for wealth managers. It helps them design and manage personalized portfolios for each client efficiently and at scale. We have a multi-issuer platform, which is a marketplace for structured products, so sophisticated financial instruments for the ones who are not aware. And it lets banks and wealth managers compare prices, execute trades, and manage the products easily post-trade to understand the events they are subject to, for example. And finally, we have the risk engine, where everything started actually for us. And it's an engine that measures risk, optimize portfolios, and do wealth projections based on the individual goals. So it helps make better and confident investment decisions. So different products, but one philosophy: solve the hard problems properly and don't hide the complexity, properly manage it. That's what we have built the company around. Okay, so now the technical part. Let me take you behind the curtain a bit to what makes this work technically interesting, because I think that's why you are here today. So we operate in one of the most demanding industry there is, highly regulated and highly a lot of scrutiny. So every number, every report, every trade has to be right. It has to be explainable, and it has to be compliant. So there is no room for approximation. The stakes are way too high. And because we have built for large institutions with a strictly strict context, strict security rules, very cautious about the cloud adoption, and maybe even more after Monday, and complex approval processes. So we need to navigate all these constraints, and sometimes we also need to push them. And our challenge is to deliver precision and reliability at scale and across jurisdictions, so across countries, across regions, and sometimes even across continents, while keeping the system fast, flexible, and usable. So here are a few numbers that I will go through with the next slide. So we have a few principles in order to build our tech stack. So we own the complexity and we don't pass it on. So what it means is that we take the messy reality of our clients. So as I said, the regulatory frameworks, the product specifics, the jurisdictions, and we abstract it cleanly so that our users, our end users, they don't have to deal with it. So if we take the risk analytics as an example, under the hood, our system model hundreds of thousands of risk factors daily. We reprice the instruments in real time. So for the user, what it means, it's just a couple of seconds to load a page, and it's API calls that takes a few milliseconds. But for us, what it means, it's millions of calculations running behind the scenes on the cloud. Then the next principle is reliability. It has to be reliable, first and foremost. So financial systems, they can't fail. It's just not an option. So we design hybrid architectures where sensitive data stays on premises, while heavy computations run in the cloud. So it's the best of both worlds, because we use this something secure where it matters, so the on-prem environment of the clients, so that they keep control of their sensitive data, and we make it scalable where it counts on the cloud. When we are doing, for example, these heavy computations every day. The third principle we have is to make the integration painless. So in order to do that, we built everything modular and API first. So what it means is that our software can fit existing infrastructures and sometimes very legacy infrastructures without breaking them. which is really a difficult feat in banking IT, as some of you might know. And finally, maybe the most important principle, keep improving. So not only the product, but the company itself. So we don't ship once a year as many vendors, but we, depending on the product and the deployment model, we release every day, sometimes several times a day, or every quarter for major releases that impact a lot of the clients. And of course, after we tested everything until we can trust the new versions. So that keeps us close to the clients and their needs, and also obviously to step ahead of everyone else. So as you can see, technically, that's not so trivial. So we handle huge data sets, very complex financial models, and we have to handle multiple regulatory jurisdictions. So, but that's the challenge we chose, and that's the challenge we enjoy. And the reward for us is a system that is quite elegant and bulletproof. And it's if you were to work with us, you would find depth first in the business domain, because finance is as deep as it can get. You would find probably some depth in the problems to solve, and also the architecture we are putting in place. And of course, you will have the satisfaction of seeing your work used daily by major financial institutions across the globe. So that's what it makes it meaningful for us, and that's what makes it interesting. So beyond the codes that we all like, what makes it special for us is also the way we work, and Yason will tell you more.
Thanks, Martin. Maybe try to stay on the previous slide before going here. So let me also try to introduce myself. I will try my best for the remote people to juggle between the two worlds. Sorry about that. So my name is Yason. Like many of you, my background has been in research. So essentially, I completed my studies in the University of Athens, where I was working as a research associate. Then I moved on. I came here to CERN as a student, then as a fellow. It was an incredible experience for me personally. And I was working at the time at the beams department, making software for the different instruments of the accelerators. And you might actually be familiar with that. You know, probably comes one point that you ask yourself the question, okay, now what's next? So I found myself asking the question, and I was thinking about, okay, what's the best thing I could find now personally that fits my profile and my interests? And one thing that I was for sure looking for, it was impact. Of course, impact at CERN is massive, and there is no doubt about that. But at the same time, working in such a big organization, you might not see your contribution right there. So I started digging, looking here. I wanted to stay more or less in the area. And that's where I found Evooq at the time. It was a startup. I was the second hire as a backend engineer at the time. We were probably around 20 people in Lausanne. So it has been quite a shock, at least for me, to come from all this massive place to go to some small offices in Geneva, in Lausanne, sorry. At the very first days, I have to say I was a bit, you know, like depressed. Okay, what's going on here? But looking in retrospect, I could see that, you know, like maybe working with accelerator instruments, I just changed one word, moving to financing instruments. So the complexity actually was kind of the same, but different. So yeah, that brings me to the question, like, what is it like to work here? I think it's maybe two words that I can think of. I told you about the impact, so it's empowering. At the same time, though, it's uncomfortable. And what I want to say by saying uncomfortable, that working in such a small company, you have nowhere to hide. So in essence, you have big challenges to tackle. And then, I mean, you can really see your impact. So you need to own your work. So if you think about it, it's also how you grow. If you do try and solve easy problems, you don't really get that dopamine hit for sure. And also you don't improve. Going to the gym, you have to go till failure sometimes to make you grow. So these are the two things, and maybe another one is that there is not really status quo. I mean, things change very, very fast especially back then in a startup world. So we have this Kaizen mindset that we constantly try to adapt and change. And maybe one of the key things I've found at Evooq is trust. Looking backwards, you cannot really, I mean, at the end of the day, you forget about, people that took one more day to review your pull request or to give you back a report or send an email. You remember things, I mean, how you were feeling for people and how people were making you feel. And trust is really that key component that we have been trying to build. So Martin, if you go now to the next slide. So this trust I'm talking about is built on top some shared values that we all have. To be completely frank with you, we never talk about this. It's just that we have them. It's just a list. Yes, here it's on paper. It's hard to explain actually to people outside, but it's very important that you understand a few key concepts. Let's take autonomy and accountability, for example. They are the different sides of the same coin, at least how I say it. So you have on the one hand autonomy, a top-down approach, or telling people what to do doesn't really work, especially if you're looking for talented individuals. However, if you let people do their magic, then you expect them to be accountable and own their work. So on the other hand, autonomy is exactly the value that fuels innovation. Because if you try to, tell people what to do or to frame them, you won't be able to have that innovation. You need some liberty, you need autonomy to be there. And now you might ask, innovation, yes, and autonomy, isn't that a bit chaotic? How you don't promote chaos in a sense? And I'd say, and this is where collaboration and humility come into the picture. We are trying to work really as a team or as teams. And humility is a very strong factor for us. It's like in science, we don't believe we believe in the best ideas, essentially. We respectfully can challenge each other, but then the best ideas shall always win. And finally, I think we have flexibility there. It has, I think, two meanings at the same time. On the one hand, we are very flexible in a sense that we need to embrace change very, very fast and to improve constantly. On the other hand, it's the flexibility we provide towards the employees. So we focus on what matters most, rather, doing actually the job, rather than having a concrete 9-to-5 structure with, rigid rules and whatnot. So I think maybe Martin, you can go to the next one. So the stage we're in, you're seeing that we're scaling up, and that changes the work. If I read it, I'll try to make probably an analogy. I feel sometimes like we were in a kitchen and we were trying to do a good recipe, and at the very beginning, once you're a startup, you're trying very different things. Some might work, some might not work. And after all, we have reached the point that we have a very nice dish out there, tested, happy clients and whatnot. And now we are on the step afterwards. It means like, okay, how can I sell, or like how can I improve this dish to reach a way broader audience? And of course, yeah, if you are working in a restaurant, you have the physical world that it's you can just ship as many as your space allows you. But in software, it's a bit different. And yeah, this is our mission, that we are trying really now to ship and to optimize all these different processes with keeping the outcome the same, the taste the same. So you might change ingredients, you might optimize your recipe, the algorithm that you need to reach at this point. And yeah, this is about it. So maybe, Martin, if you want to go on the next one. So we are close to the end of the presentation. We are hiring. Let me tell you that we are a tech company. So in essence, you're going to find people and roles like software engineers, product managers, project managers, and so on, like what you would expect in a tech company. However, yeah, we do have not only these, of course, there are HR roles and whatnot, maybe some quants, Martin, on the Edge Lab side. So, yeah, this is probably the gist of it. If I could sum it up and say, for me, I think it's really a shift of mindset, but at the same time keeping some core values like solving hard problems and keeping that complexity at the same level, very good and high technical level that we have in the company. But yet again, it's something different. And if you're looking for a new role or to join a new company, we have a website. It's down below on the bottom right corner. It's this join and grow, where you can find the open roles for the moment. Martin, what roles do we have open currently?
We have quite a few software engineering roles. So across the board, across the products. We are looking also for QA engineers, but we are also always open to spontaneous applications. We love to discuss with interesting candidates. So if you are interested, don't hesitate.
I think we have them on the alumni platform as well. Jobs board.
Very good. And I think, do we have anything more, or that's it? Any more slides? Yeah, that's it.
Great. Thank you very much. So I think now it's time to open the floor to questions. If anybody has any questions in the room or even online. I think I've had a look in the chat. We don't have any for the moment, but maybe could I start with a question? Sure. So could you describe what the recruitment process is, please? Mm-hmm. So if someone is interested in one of the jobs, what happens? What are the different stages?
For sure. So I'm gonna describe to you the one that I'm most familiar with. It's the software engineering role. Mm-hmm. So in essence, the process looks like the following. At the very beginning, we have a small Java quiz. It acts as a very simple binary filter at the very beginning. So in essence, if you are working with Java, there is nothing to worry about. After that, we have a take-home assignment. It's a very small project. It's very straightforward. After you submit your solution, we take at most 1 week to review it and to come back to you. And after that, there are two parts actually of interviews. The one is a technical one and a team fit one. And at the very last stage, you get also to meet somebody of your preference. It could be a product manager or CTO, it could be me. If you have questions to see like to get a better feeling of how is it like the company I'm about to join, and yeah, whatnot. I don't know, Martin, if you have anything to complement.
No, it's even for the positions we try to follow more or less the same pattern, where we try to. For us, it's very important to mix like let's say quantitative assessment with qualitative assessment. So we always try to have like very concrete exercise that we can discuss with the candidates when we have a live interview with them.
How long is the process typically? Or is there no typical?
It depends. Normally, it should be the last hire we had. It took 2 months.
Okay.
But that was also on top of the summer holidays.
Okay. Thank you. I think we have a question from Giordano. Then we can take a question in the room or online. Giordano, do you want to come on camera?
Yeah, I'm here. So, hi, everybody. So thank you very much for the presentation. Very nice to hear about Evooq. Just have a question regarding the open positions, right? I didn't get if there is any project manager's role currently open as position. And also, I'd like you to comment a little bit more on the actual scope of the role, because depends on implementation in different companies, different flavors. So it would be good to hear a little bit more about how it is used, the project manager in Evooq.
So we don't have today. We don't have an open position for product manager, but as I said, like always happy to talk with interesting candidates. So if you're interested, and maybe we can fulfill your wishes today or maybe tomorrow. So it's always interesting to have a chat. So don't hesitate. And then for the scope of only for product managers, like in particular, or
well, for product manager and project managers as well.
Okay, so yeah, these are very different roles. So for the product managers, they are specialized on a given product. So we have 3 main products as we presented, and each product manager owns a product. Of course we have some transversal practices to ensure that we have some alignment. But for us, like the whole game, so to say, is to find the balance between autonomy and alignment. So product managers, they own their own product basically. And then for project managers, so it's very different. For us, like project managers is typically for the onboarding of the web platform, because these are very complex integrations where we need to interact with a lot of stakeholders at the banks, typically. So it's a lot of coordination and expectation management and ensuring that everything is moving. So that's where the project managers are involved.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Do we have any questions in the room, please? There's. Okay, Rob. Unless somebody, we'll do Rob and then come back if that's okay. Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Hi, just getting the camera on. First of all, big thanks to Eosin and Martin. It's great to hear Evooq going strength to strength. And my question is more about the transition, and it's something obviously, Eosin, you've been through. So leaving an institution like CERN can be quite a big cultural and professional shift. Having gone through that yourself, what perspective or habits helped you adapt to the private sector?
I think probably the most important thing is the mindset of self-improvement. It's something that whatever the professional environment, I think that is going to help you out achieving your goals in each case. For sure, I mean, you need to be curious, you need to embrace complexity, you need to embrace challenges in both environments, so in a big organization, as well as to a smaller one. Maybe the key difference is that I've noticed, working in such a smaller organization, you have way more the notion of the team rather than the individual. So we are working with a lot in a team, and the results are really team-based. But in research and bigger organizations, you have also, you know, the individuals are promoted a bit more, I find, in my personal experience.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, Margaret.
Yeah, so you said that the kind of the first step for recruiting is this like binary, do you know Java or not? Does that mean you're working primarily with like C type code, like Java, C++?
We have a lot in our palette. So I have been traditionally working with the web platform, and the web platform is Java, yes, Kotlin at some few places. However, maybe Martin, you want to share on the risk engine part? We have a few more diversity there.
Yeah, so on the risk engine part, we have to marry two worlds, right? We have to marry the world of software engineering with the world of quants. So typically, these are profiles like mathematicians, and so the way we do it from a pure text standpoint is that the software engineering is using mainly Java and Kotlin, actually more Kotlin than Java. And then on the quant side, they use like performant languages like Golang, and we also have a bit of Rust for extremely computation-heavy parts of the algorithm. And we also have some Python where we need to manipulate some data, but that's not really for like production cases. So I would say quite diverse, but as you can imagine, the goal is not to use all the technologies in the world. And again, it's really to find the right balance between autonomy and alignment so that we use the right technology for our context.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just thinking, coming from CERN, that we use mostly like root, which is more or less C++ and Python. So.
Right.
Okay, so I have 3 questions noted. So the first one is, how do you get your clients, the institutions, the banks that you work with?
Sorry, I didn't get the former part of your question, sorry.
How do you get your clients?
Yeah, good question. Very good question. So at first, it was extremely organic. So we were just lucky for clients to reach out to us thanks to reputation. So they just heard about us from another client, or like the person who used to work for a bank moved to another bank and decided to also introduce us to this new bank. So extremely organic, and it worked quite well for a while. But now, as Yason was saying, the phase we are in is about scaling. So now we are building a sales team, in order to be much more proactive on the market. And that's why, for example, we are now in Dubai to be more proactive instead of just waiting for someone from Dubai to reach out to us. But that's difficult because B2B is very difficult to navigate. That's for sure. So it's really not easy. You need to find out like who is the right person to talk to. You need to find out when is the right moment for the banks to talk, because sometimes it's just the wrong moment, right? Like they are in the middle of a massive migration and no way they want to introduce a new vendor. So you need to be aware of the market basically, and to just wait for the right window of opportunity for you to start talking with the right person. But clearly that's a difficult exercise.
Thank you. And the second question is, you mentioned Dubai and you I saw also that you're hiring in Warsaw as a kind of what is your expansion plan when it comes to your team?
Yeah, good question. So everything started for us in Switzerland, in Lausanne, for the Edge Lab and the Web platform, and then for the multi-Schwab platform, we built it out of Zurich. So we have two main locations in Switzerland, 2 hubs, and then Singapore. It happened organically. So we were lucky to sign 2 major banks in Singapore while still being in Switzerland. But then, thanks to these 2 successes, we decided to open an office in Singapore. And actually, I was the one building this office, so I can buy it. But yeah, that's how it happened. Then we built a new hub in Singapore, like cross-functional sales, software development, project management, HR, so more or less all the functions. And now, so we have quite a lot of traction in Asia, so definitely it was a good bet. And for Dubai, we are still at the beginning. So we have a sales representative there. I don't think it will become a tech hub, to be honest with you. And for Warsaw, today it's purely a tech hub, because as we scale, we need quite a lot of talent. And Lausanne is a wonderful city, but unfortunately, the depth and the breadth of the talent pool is not that big. So we would like to expand to Warsaw and to the Poland market in order to find the right talent for us.
Thank you.
Do you have another question?
The third question is not exactly about your company, but about joining startups in general. That as a time investment is a difficult choice, because startups usually fail. Only like small part of them like go further. So then the incentive to like invest your time is not only get the salary, but also to get equity in the startup, so that in case it goes off, you have the equity of the startup too. And so the question to you, like, have you been? I do not know the startup market in the area. Do the startups also offer it to engineers?
So I'd say you see half of the story there. When joining a startup, yes, as you said, it's of course the equity, and many times you have the risk. You probably not paid as well as a big institution, for sure. At the same time, something that you probably won't witness is how big of a career accelerator a startup is, because you get exposed to many more things that you would get exposed to a big traditional role in a bank, that in order to get a promotion you might need like a hiring approval of 10 managers. So for sure, when joining a startup, and I think this is a startup mentality, that you go beyond your typical everyday 9 to 5. So after all, if your goal is to get the job title, I guess the startup wouldn't be the right place. But if your goal is really for some period in your life, maybe you will be underpaid. Maybe your startup will succeed or not. You never know that. But really go beyond and stretch you out a bit, see what are your limits, and discover even new things. You might discover really new things that fit your personality. And actually this is my story, right? I joined as a software engineer, and one of the key things that I noticed down the line was that, look, yes, I'm a solid engineer, fine by that, but I tend to do things that other engineers find as boring, like organizing people and projects and whatnot. And this is why today, for example, I evolved into this role.
Yes.
If you ask me if I could have done that to another company in a bigger setup, Probably not. And another good example is like I have extensive interviewing experience today.
Yeah.
That again, I wouldn't have found in a more structured, bigger role, especially based on my experience at the time. When I joined, I had like more or less 5 years of experience, and right after a few months, I jumped right into recruitment.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe to add on this, I think what Yason said is extremely relevant. He said it much better than me. And I think like a startup can really maximize your potential as an individual, because as we grow, it keeps opening up new opportunities. So if you are the right guy and you are already part of the startup, you will always like feel this opportunity. And totally correct what Yason is saying, that it speeds up your career like crazy. And actually, as an anecdote, I remember that after the first year, when we had to build everything from scratch, I was like, oh my God, like this first year was like the equivalent of all the years of my career before joining. Like it compresses your career in a few years, what you could have done in a much bigger organization.
Good, thank you.
Do we have any other? Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, for the positions that you're posting or will post, or even just in general, if you're looking at someone from like a physics background, like a certain where they've been doing research or maybe involved in slightly different projects, what are the skills or competencies that you're looking for the transition into your company?
That's actually a very good question, and let me try to articulate, give you something solid back. So at the one hand, we don't expect that we find like the perfect candidate that matches 100%, the work position. Things that we hire and are very important for us, for example, it's attitude. I mean, skills, generally speaking, you can teach, but attitude you cannot. So yes, there is a filter, of course, of technical competency that we would like to have. Sometimes we are hiring more junior profiles, other times more senior, and of course the level changes. But probably, especially me, when working in recruitment, what I'm looking for is to try to find that great talent, and maybe if I could share it in a different way, try to find that top performer before they reach that top position. So these are kind of the things I'm looking at. So yeah, physics background, so you must have like solid maths. For example, you might have like Python skills. For a quant developer, could be looking for what we're looking for instance. Maybe as a developer, we can debate that. We can, explore, but why not? Especially at the very first steps of the process, we are quite lenient, and we are trying to see behind just the text and the keywords when we are proceeding through the process.
And what, if I can add also, what we try to identify during these interviews, at least for me, the three traits I'm trying to identify, it's curiosity, pragmatism, and humility. I think for me, it's very hard to be successful within our startup without these qualities.
Yes, exactly.
Any more questions? Yes, go for it.
So you mentioned about not hiding the complexity, mastering the complexity. Do you have an specific example of some way that your company does that? That's an innovator in the space. It was a little bit vague for me.
Yes, I'm gonna give you a concrete example of not a technical complexity, but rather a more of a human one, probably. I don't know. So one of the key challenges. So in order to scale, you might understand that like SaaS model, software as a service model, is way more scalable than an on-premise model, right? And one of the key challenges we have had, this well platform product that we showed you, is an on-premise one. Now, trying to convince, for example, the banks to extract parts in the cloud can be extremely challenging. And you have to really work in different ways, really like beyond your typical scope, and find ways to convince to make that happen. And that's not only, of course, technical arguments, because when it comes down to security, in theory, yes, everything should be secure in a cloud, but then the risk of the different banks to go for this solution lies elsewhere. It's deeper in their internal processes, and you have to find the right buttons at the right place to make that happen. And for sure, technically speaking, one and foremost, you need to provide a fully secure solution to the clients. That's probably the most important.
I think another example on a different in a different domain is the computations we are doing on financial instruments. So if like computing, for example, risk analytics on a very complex structured product, it's like minutes of super heavy computations, but we try to hide this from the user. So we pre-compute a lot so that actually they get one number, which might be just, I don't know, the volatility of this instrument in 60 milliseconds. So behind the scene, it's crazy complex. We have something like 30 microservices to do all these computations, but for the end user, it's just one call to the API and a fast response with a number, and that's it.
And this is actually also the goal of the company. The mission is to make investment simple. And of course, like physics, its financial domain is very complex. And to try to articulate that, make it very simple to the end user, that's really a challenge itself.
Yeah.
I have another question actually about, so you mentioned the robustness, and then you also mentioned cloud. A few days ago, we had a massive cloud outage, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you can just comment on robustness in cloud, how you deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we follow the standard industry practices. For example, we have SLAs, signed service level agreements, that we need to have 99.99, I don't know, availability to the different services that we provide to the clients. Of course, things could happen. Amazon experienced a bad outage the last few days. So for these kind of things, we have playbooks, like proper incident response plans that we put in place right after we get notified about incidents. We have monitoring systems in place, so we get alerts right after there is something fishy going on. And yeah, essentially after we run the playbook, hopefully everything should be back in order.
So there are always two things. It's to make a system resilient. Like you have the proactive things you can do. So for that, we always followed like best practices, like Wealth Factor app, all these kind of things, to ensure that we always have fallback in place when it's possible, and yeah, all the best practices when it comes to resilience. And then you have the reactive part. So what do you do when something like Monday happens? And for that, yeah, we have different mechanisms depending on the criticality of the incident to ensure that we are always up, basically. And I think also something super important, and it doesn't apply only to incidents, but as really as an organization, is to learn from incidents. So we have a very strong post-mortem culture, so that a post-mortem after an incident is a way for us to learn and a way to improve the systems.
And maybe something to complement Martin, it's a blameless culture that we have. It's very important.
Yeah. I mean, it's clearly, if you don't have the blameless culture, postmortems cannot happen. So definitely, yeah.
Any more questions in the room or perhaps online? Now is the opportunity, the moment. You have them here in front of you.
I have another question.
Go for it, Seth, yeah.
Just to understand better about your company. So you're not actually doing the transactions, I guess. You're kind of, or are you? Because you're presenting, so you're presenting the analysis of strategies and things like that. And then the client does what they want to make their decisions based on that information.
Yes, that's correct.
The systems we have are positions based. So if I oversimplify, we sit on top of a core banking system that does all the transaction magic, and then we sit on top to handle the positions at the portfolio level.
So we are interfacing actually with the transaction system of the core banking, but we don't do ourselves the transaction management.
I might ask maybe Jason, because you said that now you have a lot of recruitment experience. So do you have any advice for like how should a CV look like so that it immediately catches your attention? Or what should people do or not do so that they stand a chance to pass this first screening round?
Good question. I'd say for sure, as long as it's technical, be prepared in your field. I mean, that's like the thing you must do everywhere you apply to. Try to articulate well your CV. It's very important. If you receive a lot of application, it's very important in a nutshell to make your CV stand out. Giving and sharing also a few numbers like a concrete measurable wins and things that you have achieved is also key. And then while being in the interview, I think if you show traits like, even if you don't answer a question because you might not know it, showing things like being curious, asking questions, like taking notes, like how you could take this point at home and improve. These are many different smaller things that really makes a difference, because as we said, we don't expect everyone to know everything, right? But we do expect to find these little cues that we can get your approach, your personality, your curiosity. And for sure, be honest, be humble. Very important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to add on top of the last part, I think we value very much when people they share the painful situations they went through, the painful experiences they had to learn, and yeah, all the messy stuff, we actually enjoy it a lot. And it's quite a red flag when someone presents himself or herself as like a pristine background with like no failure. We have a hard time to believe that.
And maybe one more, cover letters. Do you read them or not really?
I don't know. I don't know the HR if they do, Martin.
We do actually. Yeah, we do. We especially value them for interns because interns, for them, it's very hard to be on top of the mass, right? Like I know you receive 100 CV for an internship. So how do you look different from the other ones? So here we value very much the cover letter. Yeah. And for like more senior profiles, actually usually they don't send one, but of course if they do, we are happy to read it through. Yeah.
Yeah, same for me. It's quite rare, I have to say, that we were to receive one, but I would always take that with a positive note after all.
Just don't forget to change the placeholders, right?
How many pages of a CV do you think is appropriate?
I think 2 pages should be enough for somebody with less than 10 years of experience. It depends, of course. I mean, you guys, especially, I know, for example, you might have like a big long list of presentations. Oh, sorry, publications. This, it depends, but normally doesn't translate to something very valuable in the industry unless you have a very high, you know, a research company that doing hard research. So if you could even like put a link, publications here, you have like on LinkedIn, the publications, I think that would be good enough if you want to keep some more space.
How many CERN alumni do you have currently working at Evooq? Because I remember at one point there were a few.
Currently, I think we have for sure two. We had the CERN alumnus joining like last week.
Mm-hmm.
We had a few that left, for sure 3 that I can easily remember of. Martin, apart from Stefano, you know, if we have anyone more?
James, has he left?
Yes, like a couple of months ago.
Oh, I cannot recall of someone else.
Yeah, but I think a total of like 5, 6 people for sure have passed through CERN and then through us.
Okay. Any more questions in the room or online? We usually finish at midday. If not, then Jason, would it be okay for people to contact you via alumni.cern?
Yeah, 100%.
If there's interest, yeah.
Yes, 100%.
And then I guess Martin possibly via LinkedIn, if people contact you directly, is that okay?
For sure, yeah, definitely.
Great, thank you. So in that case, we can maybe wrap up. So a very big thank you, Martin, for joining us from Singapore. We really appreciate it. And also thank you, Jason, for joining us in person. And I guess will you be hanging around a little bit if people want to talk to you individually?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Thanks to everybody for joining us online.